would mean everything just to be able to get that win for him. We all play for him, and he's the best leader that I've ever been around. Just love that man, so just being able to do anything I can on the field to get him that win would be great.
I mean, that was pretty motivational there, Max. Is there really a more fitting team for Ferentz to get win number 200 against than Iowa State?
Yeah, Michael, off the top of my head, no, absolutely not. Iowa State, not only because it's Iowa's rival, but, last year didn't go the way the Hawkeyes wanted to go. It's something that we don't talk about much here.
No, we don't really like to discuss that at all, but we'll see if Saturday is as perfect an ending as a lot of Hawkeye fans imagine. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to your number one source for Hawkeye sports. I'm Michael Merrick.
And I'm Max von Gries, and today we're going to break down everything you need to know before the kickoff.
And in their first game of the season, I think it's already safe to say that there's been an improvement on the offensive side of the ball for Iowa, and it really looked like we were in for a big day from the Hawks, but they really slowed down after that first quarter, Max.
Yeah, Michael, the Cade McNamara era has officially begun in Iowa City. His very first throw on Saturday was a 36-yard touchdown to Seth Anderson. It certainly wasn't a bad way to start the game and season, but I'd have to agree with you, Michael. It seemed like the Hawkeyes ran out of gas and couldn't get their offense back on track due to some pretty predictable play calling the rest of the game.
Yeah, Max, it wasn't really exactly what the Hawkeye fans wanted to see out there, but there were still some signs of promise. Plus, who knows, Iowa probably didn't want to put a lot of film with the CyHawk game up next, but if the Hawks can smoothen things out, this offense could be really dangerous.
Watching the film, it was kind of exactly how I felt after the game, honestly. I just felt like we came up short a little bit. We definitely left a lot of plays out there as a team, but there are some definitely ways that I could have played better, and that's what I'm focusing on for this week.
You got a couple tight ends, I think, that are capable of playing well, and I think we got a line and I think we have good backs. So it's just a matter of piecing things together, and hopefully hopefully it all complements each other. And then whatever they choose to take away, hopefully you can find some success in those other areas.
And while there may have been some disappointment with how the offense looked on Saturday, we did get a great look at new linebacker transfer Nick Jackson. DITV sports reporter Aiden Wirtz has more on the meaningful friendships that Nick has quickly made.
Former Virginia linebacker Nick Jackson had 5 tackles and a pass deflection in his first game as a Hawkeye. With many games to come, he is fired up to play alongside his new teammates.
I mean, I'm very appreciative of them giving me the opportunity to be a Hawk, and I'm excited. I mean, I just love these guys, honestly. Like, it doesn't even feel like I've only been here for a couple months.
I love Nick Jackson. That's one of my favorite guys. He's one of my great friends on the team, and he's such a help to this team.
And on Saturday, Hawkeye fans got their first look at transfer linebacker Nick Jackson right here on this field. But off the field, what they didn't see was how quickly his teammates have embraced number 10.
Jay is hilarious.
Like we just got close as soon as he got down to campus, and the bonding started, and hopefully it just continues to grow on the field, huh?
Even our away from football, we talk about a lot of football together, so then we're knowing what to expect, and he's helped pour a lot into me about this defense and trying to get me up to speed, and it's been awesome.
And Jackson and his teammates know exactly how important it is to have that team chemistry if they want to walk into the hostile Jack Trice Stadium and bring home the CyHawk trophy. From Kinnick Stadium, Aiden Wirtz, DITV Sports.
Thank you, Aiden. And speaking of the hostile Jack Trice Stadium, Iowa knows that this one's going to be packed. AJ, can you tell us how the Hawkeyes are feeling heading into their trip to Ames?
Got one word for you, Michael. Motivated. They've got plenty of that going into this game. Obviously, they lost it last year, and they still have that bad taste in their mouth. And not to mention, a lot of the guys are from Iowa and have grown up around the rivalry their entire lives.
This is a game where you get everybody, over to the house, everybody in town, your friends, and you all watch this game together. So yeah, I think this being from Iowa, this means a little more. Yeah.
There's an empty trophy case in our weight room right now, just kind of reminding us that it's not here. So, we say that we pay rent all throughout the year with every workout we do for those trophies, and right now we don't have the trophy, so we're trying to get that back.
And those who haven't been around the rivalry are quickly learning how important it really is.
I love playing in rivalry games, and I just can't wait to experience the CyHawk rivalry for the first time.
especially the freshmen that aren't from Iowa. I know for me, just kind of having to learn a little bit about the rivalry. I've heard stories about people not talking to their Iowa State friends, at school and stuff. So it's a pretty cool, unique thing, and I'm excited to be a part of it now.
But the one thing I can't wait to see is the not-so-warm welcome that Joe Evans will get when he comes back to his hometown in the black and gold.
Obviously, it's a rivalry game, so definitely a lot of trash talk there. But I remember that, going into the game in 2021, I told myself I'm not going to look at any fans. Like, obviously, they know I'm from Ames, so they're probably going to be a little bit more trash talk towards me. I remember, like, a group of guys were yelling Joe, like, Joe, like, they're like 3, 2, 1, Joe. So I'm like, these have to be like my buddies, right, from high school. Look around, definitely was not my buddies, but they definitely let me have it. So I just think it's a great environment. I'm excited to go to Ames.
And I'm sure State fans can't wait to welcome home Big Joe.
Yeah, and I'm pretty excited to see the kind of reaction that Joe Evans is going to get out of that Ames crowd. And there has been some big updates, though, in the Iowa and Iowa State gambling investigations, as 2 Hawkeyes and 3 Cyclones have pled guilty to underage gambling. We have pregame reporter Cooper Worth in the newsroom now. Cooper, you've been following this investigation closely from the start. Can you tell us what this means for the future of these athletes?
Right, so Iowa's Aaron Blom and Gary Christensen both pled guilty Wednesday to underage gambling, along with Iowa State's 3 players, including former starting quarterback Hunter Deckers. As part of the plea deal, all parties involved received a $645 fine. Christensen retired from baseball earlier in the summer, and Blom has since been removed from the Hawkeyes football roster.
Yeah, we've already seen some of the ramifications of this, but will these players ever be able to compete in the NCAA again?
Right. Well, even though it hasn't been officially announced, all 5 players were found betting on either their own sports or NCAA-sponsored event. So, according to NCAA regulations, prohibits athletes from betting on such. So, it is unlikely that either one of these athletes will be participating in any Division I events.
Yeah, it's just rough what's happened to these players, but that's what's the reality of the world we're in right now. Thank you, Coop. And with the amount of Cyclones lost due to this gambling investigation, we've seen a lot of faces forced into larger roles. You can definitely see this with Iowa State's quarterback situation. And after speaking with Christian Royston of the Iowa State Daily, right now it's believed that Rocco Becht will get the start again, but don't be shocked if the monster-sized J.J. Cole finds his way into the game.
It seemed like Becht was more comfortable on the offense. He got a majority of the reps. I think there was only really like 2 drives that JJ was in. It does seem like Campbell wants to get them more involved in the CyHawk game. So I guess we will be seeing Rocco Becht to start, but there's a good chance that JJ does come in at some point, which should be interesting.
And it's not just the quarterback room that's been affected by this, as we also saw Iowa State lose starting running back Jyrell Brock for the entire season. He was expected to play a huge role in this offense, and replacing him has been kind of tough, but there is a deep running back room, and it looks like the standout is Abu Sama, the true freshman.
They're having 5 running backs in that room right now that they're expecting all of them to get reps. Probably the biggest standout for me was Abu Sama, the true freshman. He had 2 really good runs. This guy could be the feature back. And, you lose Jyrell Brock, who was supposed to be the feature back. And I think Sama might be the guy to replace him.
And while that Iowa State offense may show some problems for this Hawkeye defense, the Iowa offense has some playmakers to watch out for on this Cyclone defense. Right, Max?
Yeah, Michael, and if you watched the Cyclones' 30-9 absolute beatdown over UNI, you would have seen sophomore Jeremiah Cooper snag 2 interceptions and just cause a ton of mayhem and problems for UNI's starting quarterback Theo Day.
But he is a guy that going into the year, you're like, yeah, this is a playmaker. I mean, that whole secondary is just crazy. They pretty much returned everybody except for, Anthony Johnson, who got drafted. It's led by TJ Tampa, who's supposed to be one of the best corners in the nation. And I think against UNI, maybe Theo Day was a little scared to throw at Tampa, which, opened up opportunities for, guys like Cooper to make plays on the ball.
But despite a big day by Iowa State secondary, Iowa wide receiver Seth Anderson still doesn't seem too impressed with the Cyclone secondary.
What are you seeing on film from Iowa State?
A lot of opportunity, for sure.
In what way?
In a good way.
That's definitely might be some bulletin board material there from Anderson, Max.
Yeah, Michael, I couldn't agree more with you. But another player the Hawks will have to watch out for is special team stud Darian Porter. Porter is a former track athlete and is utilized on special teams, specifically on punts for Iowa State, where he does a phenomenal job of covering the whole field, not allowing for any huge punt returns. He also had a blocked punt against the Panthers, which is going to be big going into the CyHawk game, especially since the Hawkeyes had a punt of their own blocked by Utah State. Porter will have his hands full, though, Saturday with Cooper DeJean being listed as the Hawkeye punt returner.
And we know how important special teams is in this CyHawk game, Max. I mean, look what happened a few years ago in Ames.
Yeah, not a lot of Iowa State fans will want to talk about that, but the saying is special teams wins you games, and I think that will be a huge role in this game.
Well, talking about what you think, it's time to figure out what everybody thinks because it's the best time right now. It's prediction time. So let's start with you, AJ. Who you got?
Well, Michael, with all the starters out for the Cyclones, I see the Hawkeyes having their way tomorrow and getting Kirk his 200th win in Ames. I expect a final score of 24-3 and sprinkle in there a 2-touchdown game from tight end 1 Luke Lachey. That tight end room is always solid, and with Brian running some 4 tight end sets on the goal line, I wouldn't be surprised to see Luke as the main target in the red zone. Coop, what do you think about this weekend's matchup?
Like you said, AJ, Iowa State is still running with a lot of backup players, as the previously mentioned gambling investigation. So I see the Iowa Hawkeyes winning this game, and Phil Parker and the defense really bringing it to the ISU quarterback and seemingly untested offense. I have a 27-10 in favor of the black and gold, and my player to watch is Caleb Johnson have a better performance after a so-so outing last week. Now, Max, what are you thinking?
Yeah, Coop, that's a great pick, but I'm choosing Jay Higgins as my player to watch on Saturday. Higgins was all over the field against Utah State last Saturday, racking up 16 tackles, 12 of which were solo tackles, and a pass deflection, which, Michael, we both can agree that it should have been a house call for Higgins. It's going to be very difficult for the Hawkeye defense to replace a guy like Jack Campbell, but for Higgins to have such a monster game week 1, it should be a reassurance to Hawkeye fans that this linebacker core is legit. As for the game prediction, I think this one is going to be an all-time CyHawk series classic. Iowa State really impressed me last week, but I still think that the Hawks will bring back the hardware from Ames. I've got the Hawks winning in overtime 30-27. Let's send it to Christian again for his pick in this one.
Yeah, that's a tough one because, it's hard to really predict the CyHawk games. I think we're probably in for another really close game. I think both teams right now are maybe looking better than most people have thought. I think Iowa played really good against Utah State. Obviously, maybe a little stuttering there near the ends as they're kind of nursing Cade back up to full health. But I think obviously the offense is much improved, which should really test Iowa State's defense. So I honestly kind of see this being like a decently high scoring game for a CyHawk. It's not going to be like a 7-3 game. I'll probably predict, maybe home field advantage gives Ames, might give Iowa State the benefit of the doubt here and say maybe 24-21 Cyclones, but I could honestly see it going the other way as well and probably being like 30-24 Iowa.
Seems like we all have it being a pretty close one. It seems like everyone's showing a little bit of home cooking with their picks. I might not be too different. I'm going to stay on the defensive side of the ball with my player to watch, and that's Deshaun Lee. In Lee's first career start, he played well. He had 6 tackles, and he was all over coverage, doing a great job of keeping the Aggies in check. And I see Lee getting his first interception of his college career against that young quarterback group in Ames. And because of that, I'm taking the Hawkeyes to bring back the CyHawk trophy once again. They seem a little extra motivated in this one with Kirk's 200th win on the line. So give me the Hawks in a close game, 20-17.
Yeah, Michael, I don't know if Kirk could be more excited about getting his 200th win. I don't know if I could be more excited about Iowa finally getting revenge on those guys from Ames.
Yeah, it definitely would be a great environment. I'll be there. Sadly, they didn't approve for you to come and call the game with me, so I will be alone in that one. But it should be a fun one, and it'll be very important for the rest of the season for Iowa if they can get this win and stay undefeated on the year. So a big thank you to AJ, Cooper, and Christian. And of course, an even bigger thank you to you for tuning in to another edition of Before the Kickoff.
Be sure to check out the Daily Iowan YouTube page and website for all the latest on everything Hawkeye sports. And from the University of Iowa, I'm Max von Gries.
And I'm Michael Merrick, and have a wonderful weekend of football, everyone.